New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Hi.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of Divine Science Everywhere. It's Good Friday, April 18th. Kicking us off today is the Divine Science Everywhere creator, Rev Joy Fletcher.
Thank you. Thank you. I am Rev Joy Fletcher, and it is my joy to welcome you here to the launch of Divine Science Everywhere. In the upcoming weeks, we'll be talking about divine science teachings, divine science current relevance to the world, the possible future, and we'll be chatting with divine scientists and friends of divine science. We hope to bring you the joy of divine science and hope that it helps you in your daily life, work, and relationships. With me today is Rev Jeff Radcliff and Bishop Durrell Watkins. First, let me introduce you to Rev Jeff. He's a graduate of the University of Metaphysics and was ordained by the International Metaphysical Ministry in 2011. He graduated from Samaritan Institute with a degree in divine science and was ordained at Christ Universal Temple, the church founded by Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, at the 107th International New Thought Alliance World Congress in Chicago in 2022. Reverend Jeff continues his studies with the University of Metaphysics and is on track to receive his master's in metaphysical sciences, and his goal is to earn a doctorate. Reverend Jeff is a lifetime member of INTA, Divine Science Federation International, and affiliated New Thought Network, Anton. He is on the board of the Divine Science Ministers Association and Divine Science Federation International. His online work includes co-hosting Divine Science Everywhere in New Thought Media Network, NTMN, and being a frequent guest on New Thought Media Network's Friday Fireside Chat. Reverend Jeff's principal online work is through Jyoti Ministries. Jyoti stands for God is All There Is. Find Jyoti Ministries on Facebook. And I turn this over to Reverend Jeff.
Thank you, Reverend Joy. It's my pleasure to be here and do this. And I'm not a stranger to a lot of the folks who watch New Thought Media Network, because Reverend Michael and I spend a lot of time on Fridays with Fireside Chat. I found New Thought quite a long time ago. Back when I was a kid, I remember seeing some commercials on television. Real brief, they had celebrities talking about a word for the day and what that meant in the course of their lives and whatnot. And then they said it was a word of the day from Unity. I remember seeing those, especially on Sunday afternoons when I was watching some of the afternoon programming. Later on, I grew up, was part of a study group for A Course in Miracles. The lady who hosted it went to a Unity church when she went somewhere to visit because there was none in our area. We thought that we might like to get a study group started, and it really didn't happen. Later on, I met a couple of other people who did make it happen. So I was part of a Unity study group for a while. It disbanded. I found religious science online, and there were actually classes being taught. In the early 2000s, this was a brand new thing, and the Center for Spiritual Living in Chico, California, was the very first place that I took a religious science class online. Took all that up through practitioner training until it came time for my ministerial work, and the classes for that didn't happen. So I went looking elsewhere, found International Metaphysical Ministries, and ended up becoming ordained there with my bachelor's in metaphysical science. And like Reverend Joy said, I was ordained into divine science a couple of years ago in Chicago. First time I'd ever been there, and it was awesome. And it's all been an interesting trip since then. You can find Giati Ministries on Facebook, GIATI Ministries, and that's on Facebook. And you can see a little bit about what I post there. So thank you, Joy, for that introduction. And if you have Reverend Bishop Durrell's information, I would like for you to read that because I lost it in all my tabs.
Well, I know about me. I can tell you about me.
Okay.
I am the president of Divine Science Federation International. I'm in my third term. We have term limits, so I'm in my final 2 years. I always come back. I was vice president for a while, now for a little over 4 years, been the president. But you didn't have to eventually take a break, so but I'll always be part of Divine Science, obviously. I'm the senior minister of Sunshine Cathedral, which is affiliated with Divine Science International, as well as a lot of other organizations, the Public Community Churches, the International Council of Community Churches, Global Justice Institute, and that's where I am a bishop, is in the Global Justice Institute. So in addition to co-hosting this new show, Divine Science Everywhere, so very excited about it, here on New Thought Media Network, I am also the lead anchor of a daily panel discussion on another streaming network, Happening Out Television Network. And I'm a monthly columnist for the Outclick magazine, which is online and hard copy. I'm a contributor to the Queer Bible Commentary, second edition from SCM Press. And my commentary in that book is on Ezra and Nehemiah. I'm the author of Wrestling with God Without Getting Pinned, and also the author of Saved from Salvation, Healing Prayers for Depression, and Fairy Dust, Using Affirmations to Unlock the Magic of Life. I was United Nations Association Broward Chapter Global Goals Local Leaders Honoree, and I have been to a lot of Little Red Schoolhouses. I have 5 earned academic degrees, including the Doctor of Ministry. I am ordained a few times over, but for the purpose of this discussion, I'm an ordained divine science minister. So that's enough about me. I'm happy to tell you about what divine science means to me, what I do with it, and what I believe the future is. But first, I need to loop back in our fearless leader. Let me tell you about our joyful leader of Divine Science Everywhere, Reverend Joyful Fletcher. Joy Fletcher, affectionately known as Reverend Joyful, is a divine science minister since 1995. She's a 5th generation New Thoughter, a 5th generation truth student. She is devoted to sacred service, to end of life ministry, a very special calling, and spiritual leadership. She has worked in parishes, in churches and centers, as well as with hospice and with weddings. She's an all-around servant leader in the community. She serves as president of the Divine Science Ministers Association, our sister organization. She co-hosts this show, which is also her brainchild, here on the New Thought Media Network. And she's a member of the Divine Science Federation, as well as the affiliated New Thought Network and the International New Thought Alliance, where she's a member of the executive board. She was honored in 2024 with the Ann Kunath Award for Ministry Renewal. Reverend Joy believes that the awareness of divine science everywhere, in all, through all, as all, is the thread that inspires every step of her ministry. So Reverend Joyful, why don't you lead us now in a moment of reflection, and then tell us your story of how you found divine science.
Thank you. I'd be happy to. So divine science is in all, through all, as all. So in this moment, just take a breath and let us arrive in this moment. Right here, right now. Be aware of this precious presence. It's not separate from us. It's not somewhere else. It is right here, right now. The divine isn't a visitor in your life. The divine is the very life in you. It's in the rising sun, the falling leaf, in the beating of your heart. The infinite, the omnipresence of the divine is always present. It is in all. It flows through all. It shines as all. Remembering you are one with this presence. Let yourself rest in this knowing. There is only one life, and it is here right now and always shall be. One power, one light, and it is love in all, through all, as all. And so it is. So how did I discover divine science? I've noticed that so much in my life, there's so many twists and turns on this path. You think you're going one way and then, oh, there's a detour, or you have to jump over the detour. It seems like you kind of go into a ditch for a while, but it all serves a higher purpose. Yes, indeed, I am fifth generation Unity True student, and I am so pleased to share that legacy. My 2 times great grandmother was a Unity minister in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And we suspect, because of the date of her paper that was signed, that she most likely studied with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And I'm very blessed because my family knew the Butterworths, which were very important names in the Unity movement. In fact, I was christened by Margaret Butterworth, who is Eric Butterworth's sister. And then my family experienced some challenges. My parents divorced when I was very young. And I think in part due to my mother's grief, we didn't attend Unity for the longest time. My mother was very disappointed that things didn't work out the way that she imagined they would, applying the principles. And I've done this too. You think that if you pray a certain way and if you treat a certain way, you're going to get the outcome that you want. And yet your higher self has another purpose to use those experiences. So many years later, I was reintroduced to Unity, and I attended the Youth of Unity conference at Unity Village, and several times after that. And I was elected as the International First Vice President, which is the prayer chaplain. And I also won the second year I competed the Scholarship Award, Essay Speech Contest. So then when I married, started attending Unity Church, and after some time, there was a fracture there. And because of certain rules, you could not have another Unity Center within a certain geographic location of the other Unity Church. So one of our friends found out about divine science and introduced us to that. And Reverend Frank Gleibach, who was an attorney as well as a divine science minister in Birmingham, Michigan, took care of all the paperwork. We were able to join divine science, and we became affiliated with the Denver church. I began studying divine science concurrently with becoming a Unity teacher. And I convinced 4 other people to take classes with me, but I was the only one that finished. And it was a challenge. It was. And I just knew that ministry is where I needed to be. I knew that in my inner core, and yet there were certain circumstances in my life that made it a little more challenging, and ups and downs and bumps and things like that. And I loved the teachings. I love the idea of omnipresence, always with us, no matter where we are. It's in all, through all, as all. And I am so grateful to have these teachings to lean on, to be a presence for others. So thank you for now. And so, who else would like to share?
Well, Jeff already gave us a little bit, but I would like to hear a little bit more about specifically his divine science experience. Since we know how he got there, but now that he is there, what?
Now that I'm here, what?
All up in divine science.
Yeah. It's funny because Dr. Tim Stewart, who I studied under, talked to me about divine science for several years before I actually decided to come on board with it. We'd meet out for lunch, or we talk on the phone or something, and he'd always say in every conversation, you really ought to think about becoming ordained in divine science. And I'm like, yeah. I'm doing this over here with International Metaphysical Ministries, and IMM has taken a lot out of me, but I'll think about it. And then when the International New Thought Alliance had their Congress in Nashville, and I got to meet a few people, Bishop Durrell being one of them, I thought, yeah, okay, it's time now. And so I took some additional classes, and here I am, killing it.
He says on Good Friday.
Now don't get me started, because I am also known as the Reverend, and I can take this to some pretty interesting places. But
I like the. Of course, Joy was already in divine science when I met her, but she talked about being a licensed Unity teacher, and Jeff talked about his IMM ministry credentials from the University of Metaphysics. And what is interesting about that to me is that the Samaritan Institute, which is a divine science ministry school, it's housed at the Sunshine Cathedral. I'm also the dean of the Samaritan Institute. We accept credits from all of those places. We accept coursework from the College of Divine Metaphysics, from the University of Metaphysics / University of Sedona, from Unity Village, from the Emerson Institute, which is with Anton, with Centers for Spiritual Living and their leadership program, from Johnny Coleman Seminary, which is with the UFBL. Any new thought, legitimate, historic new thought, or even if it were new, like UFBL is sort of new, but it's really Fillmorian, so it's also very old. Any legitimate new thought metaphysical school, we accept. So sort of the Samaritans' sort of claim to fame is that almost no one starts from scratch. You can. I mean, we'll start you from the cradle, but most people have already, the reason they know they want metaphysics is because they've already tried it on. And some path or the other has led them to divine science's door. well, we don't make you start from scratch. Truth is truth, knowledge is knowledge, wisdom is wisdom, history is history, faith is faith. And so we take however far you got in unity, however far you got in religious science, however far you got in divine metaphysics or whatever, we just start there and we keep going. So it's we're a little unique in that we appreciate where you've been and then sort of tailor make what you need from then on. I've tried over the years to try to make this standard curriculum, and it just doesn't work because every single person has a different need. Mm-hmm. And so we tailor make it, and we don't make it needlessly onerous, but also we know that adults, and it's all adults at this point, adults learn from sharing their story, they learn from hearing stories, and they learn from application, from their own practice. And so that doesn't neatly fit into a prepackaged curriculum for us. No, I've been to lots of schoolhouses. I've learned in lots of different ways, but I do know that the ones that had more open curricula, more student-directed curricula, were the ones I thrived in the most. And so that's sort of our pattern at the Samaritan Institute. I didn't start. I'm not fifth generation New Thought. I am first generation New Thought. I was Episcopalian before I found New Thought. And a little piece of me still is. I'm a little bit Anglican. If you came to our service at Sunshine Cathedral, it would look a little Anglican. It would sound very New Thought, but it would look a little Anglican. And then my family before that were Baptist and Catholics with a sprinkling of Pentecostals and Mormons. So it was just a little bit of everything. And but I found the Episcopal route, and then that led to MCC, which I'm also still part of, the Metropolitan Community Churches. And it was while in MCC that I then found New Thought. I'd actually in college attended a Unity church out of convenience, but then later in earnest started studying Course in Miracles, Science of Mind. And it was when I got involved with INTA that I stumbled across divine science. People just sort of fall into divine science. And then they're glad they did. And that was me. I just heard these speakers and they said something. Everyone's saying the same thing. God is good. God is all. Change your thinking, change your life. It's, it's packaged differently, but we all have the same message. Truth is truth is truth. But somehow the divine scientists said it in a way that I could hear it and understand it and apply it. It was my language. It's all true, but that was my language. And it was the omnipresence that taught me. Everyone says it. Even the mainstream people say it. God is omnipresent. But they act like omnipresence means like Santa Claus on every corner ringing a bell. But that's not omnipresent. That's a lot of different Santa Clauses. Mm-hmm. That's that. Or they think that God is everywhere, meaning that God is far, far away, but can see everything. Well, that's not omnipresence. That's far, far away. Even if God can see everything. So omnipresence means the only presence. It's all the presence there is. And Fanny Brooks James made this so clear. Nona Brooks made this so clear. Melinda Kramer made this so clear, in ways that spoke to me just better than anyone else ever had done. So that no, God is omnipresence, which means God is the only presence. So if something exists, it can't exist apart from God, because if God is all presence, there can't be another presence. So because there is one presence, we have to be part of it. And of course, Emerson said, I am part and parcel of God. If there's one presence, there's not another presence. Mm-hmm. If there's one power, there's not another power. Mm-hmm. So if I have to be part of that which is. I have to be part of God, because God is all there is. God in through all, in all, through all, as all. And so and though I'd heard that a million different ways, it was the divine science way that made me get it and believe it and be passionate about it and want to share that understanding of it. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got here, and that's what I'm doing with it.
And what's really great, going through Samaritan Institute for my divine science education, I appreciated the fact that you took credits from my other work, because I'd probably still be taking classes now if you hadn't have. But it's really cool. And having self-studied and then studied with some religious science teachers online, I think put me in a very good place to not see the differences so much in the different teachings, because they're really not so different. The truth is a truth regardless, and we just teach it in different ways, and we may have some different languaging. Divine science is definitely a little more God-centered, and we're not afraid to use the G word. But I know that the other, like CSL, for instance, is their focus is just a little different from that, recognizing a person's inner divinity while not talking about it in quite the same way. But it's all the truth, regardless of how we do it. It's the differences are in the details, is all.
My spiritual mentor, Reverend Alola James, used to say that divine science, unity, and religious science were spiritual triplets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very similar. And I like that concept.
Yeah.
We just use different words, just different
Right.
descriptions. And then how do you describe the undescribable? Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you've painted a picture of it, you've lost it. You know, once you've named it, you've lost it, which is why one of the names for God is supposedly unnameable. Because once you've named it, you've suggested what's to know about it, and you can't know all about it. So yeah, that's it. How do you describe the indescribable? There's a religion scholar, Anthony Pinn, who's a humanist religious scholar, and he describes his understanding of God is the indescribable more. The indescribable more. Oh my gosh, his name just went out of my head. He's an Episcopal priest, but he started out as the road manager for AC/DC. And after he had that experience, that spiritual experience, and then he moved into ministry and that spiritual experience, he describes God is the blanket we throw over the mystery to give it a shape.
Mm-hmm.
God is the name of the blanket. God is the name of the blanket we throw over the mystery to give it a shape.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that whatever we say about God, we're pointing at it. We're moving in that direction. But the minute we think we've got it all, we've actually set up a roadblock.
And our understanding is always expanding.
Oh, I hope.
And so the descriptions that we attempted to use before may not fit. Yes.
Yeah. It's really interesting that we are the divine expressing into the world as ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, and because each of our experiences are different, that is kind of a little concrete way to understand how the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is expanding. And we are expanding as well into that infinity. And it's a mind blower to sit and really ponder that. And we can ponder that some more here in a little bit, but we probably ought to take a break right now. So we will come back to discuss a little bit more about divine science in just a moment.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is proud to present New Thought's Roots and Branches with Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller. Join us every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in live or watch anytime on our YouTube channel. Discover the rich history of New Thought and its impact on modern spirituality. Join Reverend Dr. Ruth Miller as she shares insights, stories, and teachings that inspire and uplift. Experience deep insights and transformative teachings that connect you to the roots of New Thought. Visit our YouTube channel to catch up on past episodes and join us live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Connect with us and be part of the journey.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Rev Joy Fletcher, Rev Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
And we're back. Have you guys been noticing the folks who are watching online? I know that we put up their names and whatnot, but Wayne, he's a great New Thought Media Network watcher. I see him all the time on some of the other shows. And we've got Karen, and we've got Betsy, and we've got Cherie. How awesome it is to see everybody and to be able to actually say your name as well. We want you to enjoy what we have to offer.
We appreciate
and questions and comments. Questions and comments are welcome. Just if you join the conversation, we'll say it out loud and respond.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There is something that was said during the break about divine science and how it's everywhere, a modern experience of it. There's really no way that you can get away from it, because if God is all there is, if Spirit is omnipresent, then everything that we see, each other, we're one with each other, but we're one with all the rest of creation as well. When you look at your dog or your cat or any other animals, when you see the trees and the flowers and the clouds, even the inanimate objects, and this is what gets me, is I don't think a lot of people have delved into the thoughts of this like I have, but even inanimate objects are God in expression, because they came from a human who that divine human expression put that out there. And I don't think that much research has been done about it, but I believe that even the chair, the computer, my car in the driveway, they have a consciousness as well, simply because Spirit, God, it's all that is. How can it not?
Reverend Joy, you said in your introductory remarks about a relative, your grandma maybe, being disappointed that the demonstration didn't happen exact way she might have wanted it to. Can you talk more about that? Because I think divine science, we all want the same things, all the schools. And some people sort of come at it as demonstration first. It seems to me divine science, in my experience, doesn't come at demonstration first. It comes at omnipresence first. Notices that that's the basis of everything we do. And then once you realize that God is all there is, then things seem to happen. You know, good things seem to happen, but it's not as directed as some of the other schools, which doesn't make any of it right or wrong. It's just a different way. But that Nona prayed for light. And once she got the light, the healing came. Melinda asked a question: is there a power in the vast universe that can heal me? And then once she got the awareness of omnipresence, then the healing came. And it was a gradual healing. It didn't happen in an instant. And so the omnipresence approach, the divine science approach, seems to be that awareness of and experience of and unity with the divine and then let's see what good thing happens. It may be what you wanted, maybe something better, maybe instant, maybe gradual, whatever. But unless, I'm not saying that right, and you could say it better, would you talk about divine science and demonstration?
Yes, and that was my mother, because
Your mother.
she had young children and was divorced and very disappointed. And I think most of her life, she experienced grief. Grief wasn't talked about. It's still kind of an avoided subject now, but we are better about addressing our grief. She grieved that her life didn't unfold the way she imagined it would be. And truthfully, I've had experiences in my own life too, where I have definitely experienced that spiritual amnesia, forgetting who and what I am, and looking at the outer, the demonstration, rather than the inner growth. So divine science is about experiencing the presence. I do remember that Nona Brooks did pray for the light, and then she was afraid of it and she resisted it a wee bit, And she did have her demonstration. I mean, she had to eat soft foods and she had a lot of trouble with her throat up, before that, preceded that. But then that was healed. And she used that healing as a gift to express her inspiration for others and made a significant difference. I don't feel that she taught demonstration other than the demonstration of your peace and poise in the midst of whatever is happening to you, because it is all consciousness. And sometimes that when we say that about consciousness, sometimes that could have a little negative edge to it too, because we might judge ourselves or judge each other through that. And that's not what it's about. Not at all. I think we're given this opportunity to recognize the omnipresence and the greater good, how we're all interconnected through current times. Every single thing that we do and say affects everybody. It does. So whatever is happening in the world is a part of our own consciousness that is crying out for maybe healing, enlarging our compassion, a spiritual practice, not necessarily a rigid religion. If you find comfort in that, that's great. It's more about a spiritual practice. It's not about where you go on Sunday and sit. It's about applying it in your life and my goal is to have an immediate response, no matter what happens in my life, to go to spirit, the thought of spirit, and realign myself with that omnipresence, which is comfort and peace and wisdom and love and light, to go to that rather than yammering about the situation.
When I know in our treatment, we have these formulas in all of our schools, 7 points, 5 points, 7 points, and I know them, and they're helpful. But I heard a religious science minister one time say, she just blew my mind. She said, and it doesn't matter what order you do them in. I'm like, wait, I learned them in an order. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Like, you can do the gratitude part first and the affirmation. I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, that's right. It doesn't matter. But the more in the teaching I am, the less, like, those things are like training wheels almost. Like now, my favorite way to pray is if I'm praying for a thing, I'm basically what Emmett Fox would call a golden key it.
Yes.
I just try to change my focus from the problem to something good. He would say to God, but change it to good, to light, to love, to hope, to beauty. I just switch my focus from the problem to the good, to the God reality. And that's my favorite treatment for something. Now, for just prayer, gratitude, silence, like, it has very little to do with formula or even words. But if I'm actually doing a treatment for something, the golden key approach, and Emmett Fox was a divine scientist. He did a lot with unity, and that's the thing. They all played together. These people. One of Nona Brooks's sisters were good friends with the Fillmores. Charles and her husband were business partners, and they ate together. And these are in each other's home. Annie Rich Mills from the Homes of Truth. She did work for Unity, even though she was Homes of Truth, and it's all the same. It's just they all worked for each other, worked with each other, helped each other. Norman Vincent Peale stole from all of them. Ernest Holmes, Charles Fillmore, and Emmett Fox were all his good buddies, and he stole liberally from all of them. His power of positive thinking. So, but yeah, so it's all works. I'm not dissing anyone. I've used them all. I'll go back to some of them, but currently, the silence, which is a big thing in divine science, that's my number one, and then number two is the golden key. We pray. The staff prays every week for everyone on our silent helpers prayer list. We name each person by name. And then before we do anything else, we take them into the silence. And so I think that is a divine science distinctive. Doesn't mean we own it. Whoever hears this, try it. It's yours. But it's just one of the ways that I think we tend to do things.
Yes.
I like what Fanny Brooks James had to say on the whole idea of omnipresence. She wrote in 1900, she published her book, Selected Bible Readings, and she said, "I accept the omnipresence of God without reserve. Since God is all there is, there's no place for anything unlike God. There's no place for sin, sickness, or lack of God's presence, and his presence fills all." And it all flows from that after that. When you stop to think about it, it all flows from after that. If it's not part of God, not as we understand the divine, then it's a nothing. It's a no thing. And we can just kind of sort of cast it out of our mind and go back to, like what Emmett Fox said, golden key it.
I'm also very, I shouldn't say proud. That sounds like a braggy, whatever, very mortal, very fleshly kind of thing. But I am pleased, I'm interested, that divine science was founded by women during a time when women couldn't vote. Women couldn't initiate their own divorce. I mean, women had, and yet a powerful spiritual movement were founded by women, and sort of founded twice by women. They all sort of came together, found each other, said, "Oh, you can call it what I'm doing. It's the same thing." And it was founded by women at a time when women were denied agency left, right, and center. And I think that's also another great distinctive about divine science. And it may be why our approach is a little different. That our approach may be what is historically considered a bit more feminine. And whereas Unity, the Fillmores co-founded. So it's, you kind of see the mama papa element in Unity. And in divine science, in religious science, Ernest Holmes, he has a toolbox. He sees a problem, he wants to fix it. He wants to get his spiritual hammer and nails and start fixing things. And so you see the masculine energy, the balanced energy, the feminine energy in each of the approaches. And I think some of us who respond to the divine feminine anyway. And I think that may be one of the energetic attractions of divine science for me.
I love that.
Well, we are coming up on Easter, and women were the ones who heralded the news of the risen Christ. So it only seems to fit and seems to be proper that divine science would be started by women.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful that you said that, Jeff. Yes.
Someone, a question I get asked a lot is about the name. Shouldn't we change the name maybe? Because do we get confused with Christian Science maybe? And I know that Unity had similar discussions, or they confused with Unitarian Universalist or Unification or whatever. Names do sound like other names. But I'm not really worried about updating the name. I don't mind updating language or approaches or ritual, or I don't mind changing anything. Anything that doesn't change is stagnant. But I like divine science, one, because it tells a story. It's got a historical story behind it, but also it doesn't say the word God. It says divine. It doesn't say God science or the science of God or the science of heaven or the science of, it's divine. And divine is much broader. Divine is almost like the 12-step higher power, which Emmett Fox was very influential in the early AA movement. But it's like this higher power. It's God sometimes for people brings baggage because it was used abusively. And so, but divine is broad, and you get to decide what your understanding of divine is, and you get to change what you get to grow and evolve what that is. So I love that it's divine science. And divine is just whatever is ultimate, whatever you think is ultimately real, what is really real. Well, that's what divine is. That's what God is. And so whatever you call it, you think something's real, whether it's time or matter or spirit or the universe, something is real to you. And so divine is just what is ultimately real. And science is your way of knowing. Science, you're investigating and you discover, and you share your knowledge, and that knowledge can be tested by others. And if they do the same way, they should have similar experiences. And so I just love that, that divine science is our way of trying to know or discover or experience what is ultimate. And I just think that is perfect as is. And so, if the world gets together, divine science world, we're like, oh, we want to change the name. Well, okay, I guess I'll follow along. But for now, I'm very happy that it's divine science.
Yes.
And we will, I think we will remain on the cutting edge, even though we are a movement that has gone back over 150 years. New Thought in general started in we really basically got started in the 1860s and kind of snowballed after that. And as we see the United States in particular, but it's also happening in Europe. It's happened a lot in a lot of places in Europe, where more and more people are finding themselves moving away from church and whatnot. We're still going to be here.
Yes.
And we're still going to be on the cutting edge of metaphysical spirituality, because we continue to expand as the divine expands, and that knowledge that is there in the omniscience of the omnipresence becomes ours. And so we will never be irrelevant. I think we will never totally be forgotten, as long as we are here, and we will be here and relevant 1,000 years in the future, because the omnipresence is also eternal.
Yeah. We've always been here. Socrates didn't call it what Nona called it, but we've always been here. I mean, you know what? Like, people have always asked questions and found things and talked about it. And so, yeah, we've always been here. We always will be. Yeah. I'm not worried about that at all. And also, New Thought always knew, and I think mostly we still do, that like Charles resisted becoming a church, and Ernest resisted. Ernest much more wanted to be a school than a church. And Melinda's whole ministry was a home college and a magazine and some books and speaking tours. She just forgot to start a church. That's not what it was about for her. And so, but New Thought has always been just so available. And you see that, all kinds of people do A Course in Miracles. You find the Daily Word in Lutheran and Episcopalian and Methodist houses, and so I think that what we have to offer, if it's limited to our centers and our magazines, who knows? But as long as it's just information we share, that information is needed, and there's no limit to how often and how far it can be shared.
And I think there's a yearning for something larger than ourselves, especially now, to feel connected with something larger than ourselves and with one another. Try to find meaning in our life. And I think divine science is perfect for that. To know that you're never apart from your source, that you are already in that space of comfort and wisdom and love and light and joy. Always, always. That omnipresence. In all, through all, as all.
Yes. Yeah. And I've learned to reframe a lot of the things that I say, how I say them. I used to say things of, I'm a part of God. Well, no, that's not really quite accurate. It's accurate in that I have an individual mind that is in the wholeness of the divine mind. But how can you be a part of something, because that would intimate that there is a bit of separation, and there is no separation.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've learned to, just little things like that, to stop and take a deeper look at and realize, oh, I can improve this by changing the way I talk about it. So yeah.
We have to start. Can you believe 50 minutes have gone by already? Can you stand it? So we have to, where to go? Time's an illusion, obviously. We have to start winding down. And so maybe we can each give some final comments for today. But before we do that, I want to let people know that all three of us are on social media. For sure, Facebook, you can find us, and then beyond that for some. But we're all on Facebook. Giatti Ministries is on Facebook, which is Reverend Jeff. Divine Science Ministers Association, which I believe that's the whole thing, Divine Science Ministers Association.com, org, Divine Ministers Association.org is their website. And they've got really good resources for like weddings, memorials, the history of some of the pioneers. I love that resource, the DMSA website. Divine Science Federation.org is the Divine Science Federation's website. We've got on there some PDFs of some old documents that the pioneers wrote, their own language, their own hand. So you can find that at Divine Science Federation.org. And also the two, DMSA and DSFI, are hosting a cruise in November, early November, and you'll want to know about it. We're gonna pray. We're gonna do some spiritual stuff. A little bit, 2 minutes, but we're gonna do a lot of playing. It's a bar and food and beaches.
We're gonna
We're gonna pray and play, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a way for the two organizations and new thoughters from all over just to spend some time together in the Caribbean in the fall, which is when you want to be in the Caribbean. So you can find out about that at our websites. We're going to talk about it on future shows. Just want you to know about it. So find us on the social medias. Find our websites. Think about this cruise. And also, if you would like a daily lesson from Divine Science, written sometimes by contemporary ministers, sometimes from the pioneers, you can go to not Sunshine, that's another thing I got going on. You can go to Divine Science Federation and just ask to be added to an email list. It's absolutely free, and you'll get a daily lesson in Divine Science, or you can email Kevin at sunshinecathedral.org. Kevin at sunshinecathedral.org, and ask him to put you on that list. It's absolutely free, and you'll just get a daily Divine Science lesson. And Divine Science also has its own, Divine Science Federation also has its own Facebook page. So find us, follow us. We want to build a relationship with all of you.
And be there for you.
And that isn't my, yes, and be there for you, pray for you, silent helpers. And that is not my intro to the final word. That is my final word. So you guys go.
And if you're looking for a really uplifting experience on Sundays, you've got to check Rev Durrell and Sunshine Cathedral. They put on a wonderful service. He's an awesome speaker. He's very knowledgeable and has a worldwide following. Be part of that. Be part of that.
Thank you. Love it.
That was wonderful. Yes, yes. Well, what a wonderful time we've shared together. I'm so grateful. There is one mind. I woke up one morning and I had this idea, this inspiration to start this collaboration. And then I had a conversation with Reverend Jeff, and he said, I've been talking about that for quite a while. So you see, when spirit has an idea, it's whoever is receptive and at the right time. I've heard that one of my teachers from long ago said that her uncle worked in the U.S. Patent Office many years ago. And they noticed that there were patents that would come from different parts of the world, patent applications for an invention or something from different parts of the world, and that would arrive the same day. So that just tells you that those ideas, those divine ideas, are always, always present. So will you listen? Will you apply them into your life? That's totally up to you.
And we are very happy to share with you ways to put those principles to work in your life, because there is not one thing that any of us do that is not connected spiritually. It's just who we all are. So we have a lot of ways to show you how you can do this for yourself. So we look forward to having everybody come back and see us again next Friday.
Yes.
So
At 4 p.m. Eastern time. What were you going to say, Reverend Jeff?
It's going to be an ongoing thing with us, and I was getting ready to give the times. Just be sure to check us out, as Durrell said, on Facebook. Reach out if you need us to pray. If you need just to talk to somebody, we are available. Don't be shy. The door's open. Come on in.
And if you're curious about the teachings, certainly reach out to us. We're here. We're here. And it would be our honor. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is it. Everyone, thanks for joining Reverend Joyful and Bishop Durrell Watkins and me,
Reverend Jeff Radcliff,
for our inaugural episode of Divine Science Everywhere. We look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to being with you guys again as well. And thanks to the big guy, as he's known, Reverend Robert Brzezinski and Reverend Michael Mangas, for helping us to put this together. And behind the scenes from Sunshine Cathedral, we also have Reverend Robert as
Robert
well.
Griffin, Bishop Robert Griffin. He's also
can't forget him. So we've got a great team, and we're going to bring you some great content. So stick around and see us again next week.
And thank you, New Thought Media Network.org. Thank you so much. And thank all of you too. Yeah. Looking forward to the future. Thanks. Bye-bye.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.